America is in trouble. Our nation is divided and there's a new civil war being fought over issues like national debt and taxes. City and state budgets are imploding from within, and they're on the verge of bankruptcy. There's fear, finger-pointing, and complaining about a vast amount of issues. And the front lines of this war are the public sector unions and the Tea Parties. But I'd like to take a step back and to help you understand how the lines have been drawn and to give you a brief history of this complicated battle being fought between the left side, the liberals and the Democrats, and the right side, the conservatives and the Republicans.
The terms left and right were first used during the French Revolution in 1789 in the National Assembly. Those that supported the king sat on the right, and supporters of the revolution sat on the left. These terms were introduced into British politics in 1906, when the Labour Party emerged and the support from the labor unions grew to an international level. In America, the terms of the day were liberal and conservatives, until the emergence of the technological age. Now, in our two-party system, left and right are commonly used by the media and the politicians in an attempt to keep the country divided based on political, economical, and social beliefs. This complex method of control ensures that each party grows stronger with every issue, and if you choose not to pick one of those sides, you may be considered anti-government.
You may be living in a red or blue state today, but let us begin with the original war between the states.
Our founding fathers created an important document, the first of its kind in all of history, the U.S. Constitution. This document served as a basis of our government for nearly 100 years, until the coming of the Civil War. It was this war that greatly changed not only the fundamentals of our government, but the very fabric of our society as well, in a way our founders could never have envisioned. From 1861 to 1865, the United States was torn apart by the Civil War that resulted in the loss of over 620,000 lives because of the northern and southern differences that have been brewing since the American Revolution. History tells us that the Civil War was fought over slavery, but from an economic view, it was much more complicated than that. The way the country was divided, both physically and in the mindset of Northerners and Southerners, was clear in the striking differences between the economies, social structure, customs, and political values of the two regions. The North, with 70% of the country's population, had phased out slavery, was greatly industrialized and urbanized, had prosperous farmland, was mainly the center for manufacturing, and was considered the financial strength of the country. The South, with only 30% of the population, was very rural, non-industrial, and dependent on slavery. Their economy was largely based on agriculture, with cash crops of tobacco, sugarcane, and cotton serving as their main contribution to the economic strength of America.
The other issues of the day that led up to the Great Conflict were states' rights versus federal power, expansionism, modernization, and taxes.
The Tariff of 1828, passed by Congress, was a high protective tax on imports. The major goal of this tariff was to protect industries in the North, which were being driven out of business by low-priced imported goods. For the South, the negative effect was twofold. First, prices were higher on goods not produced in the region, and second, reducing the importation of British goods made it difficult for the British to pay for the cotton they imported from the South. Dubbed the Tariff of Abominations, it was soon repealed due to strong protest and threats from the South. The Democrats in Congress, controlled by the Southerners, had written the tariff laws in the 1830s, 40s, and 50s, continually reducing the rates so that by 1857, rates were the lowest they have been since 1816. While the South had no complaints, the low rates angered Northern industrialists and factory workers, especially in Pennsylvania, who demanded protection for the growing iron industry. The Whigs and Republicans favored high tariffs to stimulate industrial growth, and Republicans called for a tax increase in the election of 1860. Southerners claimed that the proposed tax would force 30% of the population to pay 80% of the national taxes, but the Northerners saw it as payback for all the years of low rates. In 1861, the Morrill Tariff was successfully enacted. In response, Southern politicians resigned their seats in Congress. On February 9, 1861, the Confederate States of America was formed, with President Jefferson Davis at the helm. The Confederacy fought for its independence from the United States of America, viewing the Union as a tyrannical, unrepresentative government guilty of levying unfair taxes and denying states' rights. After 4 bloody years of devastating warfare, the Confederacy surrendered and slavery was outlawed everywhere in the nation. The restoration of the Union and the Reconstruction era that followed appeared to reunify the North and the South, but left behind cracks in the nation's foundation that would reemerge in years to come. During the height of the Industrial Revolution, inventive new ideas and production created new wealth, especially for a group of men called the robber barons. These men were not really free market capitalists, but crony capitalists that used their wealth and power for political bribes and lobbying for laws to protect their monopolized interests.
By the start of the 20th century, these robber barons essentially bought much of our political system.
Started as a positive force for our political system, the progressive movement was formed to stop political corruption and the elimination of money buying political influence to create laws and regulations that stifled competition, endangered workers, and set prices. What they intended to create was a government more powerful than the robber barons, and they did so successfully. Early on in the progressive movement, 2 laws were passed that gave Washington unprecedented power. The 16th Amendment, ratified in 1913, introduced the federal income tax, giving government the power to legally withdraw a percentage of workers' earnings and entrust that resulting large sums of money into the hands of politicians. The 18th Amendment, ratified in 1919, brought about prohibition, for the first time giving power to the government to outlaw a product, beverage, or a substance to be consumed by the citizens.
These laws were reflective of the progressive ideology that they know better than you, and what they do is for your own good.
In the 19th century, another result from the Industrial Revolution was the rapid expansion of factories and manufacturing capabilities. As workers moved away from the agricultural work to factories, mines, and other hard labor, many faced terrible working conditions, long hours, low pay, and health risks. Many women and children worked in factories that generally received lower pay than men, and many businesses also disregarded the old and the injured. The government did little to limit these injustices, and in the United States, along with much of the industrialized world, labor movements were formed to lobby for better rights and safer conditions. The call for just and equal labor standards and improved working and living conditions for the world's workers began long before the outbreak of World War I. As the Industrial Revolution swept over the world, an early advocate for the International Organization to Regulate Labor was Robert Owen, a Welsh socialist and the founder of the first short-lived British trade union. And in Paris, France, in 1919, the International Labor Organization was founded as an independent affiliated agency of the League of Nations, known today as the United Nations. This period marks the beginning of worldwide growth of unions, with an international organization of workers having global government ties, using their power and money to influence politicians, employing intimidating tactics like threats and violence, influencing members on how to vote, and telling them when to work, when to strike, and even how to live. To some people, unions conjure up thoughts of organized crime and gangsters like Jimmy Hoffa. To others, labor unions represent solidarity among the working classes, bringing people together across many professions to lobby for better rights, wages, and benefits. But in the last few decades, unions have been victims of their own success. Membership and influence have declined primarily because manufacturing wages rose so high that industries lost their competitiveness, and the union hierarchy was too slow to adapt to an economy shifting from manufacturing to technology. Today, the world has gotten a lot smaller. We are more connected to each other like never before, and there's an unlimited amount of information right at our fingertips. And America has grown from a nation of producers to a nation of consumers. In the early 1990s, powerful business leaders began to realize that affording the labor of the American worker was too expensive, and if they wanted to maintain a profitable bottom line. In response, certain politicians opened the door for businesses to stop venturing across the borders and overseas in order to enhance their profits and sell cheaper goods. This progressive tactic gave the global community the opportunity to improve their standard of living, while American taxes have gone up and the unemployment lines have gotten longer. The diminishing power of labor unions in the private sector has forced the stronghold of the union leadership to focus on the public sector, like police, fire, and school teachers. The only difference is that the employer is you, the taxpayer. President Roosevelt sensed trouble coming as he expressed to the National Federation of Federal Employees in a 1937 speech. The process of collective bargaining, as usually understood, cannot be transplanted into the public service. Yes, public workers may demand fair treatment, but I want to emphasize my conviction that militant taxes have no place in the public sector. A strike of public employees manifests nothing less than an intent on their part to prevent or obstruct the operations of government.
In effect, public sector unionism means that representatives of the union are on both sides of the collective bargaining table. On one side, the union leaders. On the other, the bought and paid for politicians. It's a strange coincidence that public sector union wages and benefits are breaking state budgets.
Michelle Bachmann, or Sarah Palin, may be the face of the Tea Party movement today, but it all started with Dr. Ron Paul in December of 2007.
If you recall, the movement originally began as a grassroots revolution in support of Congressman Ron Paul and his ideas about constitutional government not too long ago in 2007.
On the 234th anniversary of the Boston Tea Party, Paul's presidential campaign supporters participated in the Money Bomb, a one-day online fundraising blitz that raked in $6 million from 40,000 people nationwide and drew upon the 1773 protests' anti-tax sentiments.
Congressman Paul, a lot of folks consider you the founding father of the Tea Party movement.
Of course, the Tea Party movement was started during the last campaign when there was a special day where they raised $6 million spontaneously. And that was the beginning of it. But
in 2009, right-wingers began banding together on their anger towards President Obama's stimulus spending, identifying it as a chance to unify a strong opposition movement that could bite into Democrats' majorities in both houses of Congress by 2010. One group, inspired by Ron Paul's Boston Tea Party metaphor, began organizing Tea Party protests throughout the country opposing, as Paul does, big government and runaway federal and state budgets. Because of the technological marvels of today, a vast amount of awakened citizens chose to utilize the informational highway and social media groups. They organized meetups and protests across the country to bring awareness to others in an attempt to make a real difference in our society, for our future, and to rally against our corrupted government.
Let's take a look at the new American Civil War.
Okay? 67% of Wisconsin 8th graders can't read at proficient levels, and you guys want more money.
No. If you guys want to organize, organize. We don't care. Just don't use government force and process.
You fucking whacker!
You're the one cussing, not me. When you cross the line for the use of force, you have exceeded what should be allowed under the law. That is our issue. That is what we're protesting.
Forget about the law. This is about more than that. So we're looking at new types of organizing drive.
The law is broken in America. That's why in the UAW we're saying direct action. We're not going to rely on the law. All kinds of unions are saying we're finding other ways to protect workers' rights.
Many Democrats get into office who would not have done so without the assistance of the Home Care Workers Union. We help to get you into office, and come November, if you don't back our program, we'll help to get you out of office.
Christian, do you have any children? That you claim.
Obviously, I got your attention because you're over here trying to convince me otherwise.
Why don't you go behind that fence where you belong?
I'll stand right where I'm at as long as I want.
You're fighting to take away our rights because you're all a bunch of fascists! Go get it! You
Fuck off. You're not speaking to me. Take any one of these. Any one of these.
Get that fucking phone on my face, I'll break your goddamn neck.
Hey, we the people even got national attention. Take a look at this.
Oh, you fucking douchebag, all right? Fuck you, my mother. Ain't worth. How's that? How's that? How's that? I'll fuck you in the ass. Back. Yeah, I think you will. You will. You better get away from me. You better get away from me. I better get away from me. Hand it out of my face.
This guy here is talking. It's on camera. He's got to go. You need to put it nowhere. Let's go down there. Let's go. Hit him with the camera. Put the camera. This is a public house. Thank you, sir. Get that fucking thing out of my house.
Excuse me.
I say,
my First Amendment. No, I'll
my First Amendment is I'm going to take your side, stick this up your ass.
Yeah, you can try that too.
That's right, I'll try it. And I'll stick another one. Huh?
Because I'm asking
the question. Who are you?
Who the fuck are you?
Who are you? Shut the fuck up. I'm not talking to you. Why don't you get the fuck out of my face? I'm not talking to you. It's a screw.
Why are these guys bashing the Tea Party for? I just want to know a question. Why are you bashing the Tea Party?
Because I don't like you. All right, how's that?
What do they do to anybody?
How's that?
Well, that's a good attitude for a union worker.
Who said I'm in the fucking union, bud?
What are you doing here then?
You're in your fucking business. I'm here because I hate you. How's that?
Oh, well, that's good. You're good attitude too.
Thank you. Stop following.
I'm not here to help you, brother.
Yep.
I'm here to prevent you from lying.
Yep. Here he is. Don't go too far.
I'm purchasing a book.
Yep. Don't go too far. Don't get in my space. You're threatening. Time to go home yet?
I'm just shopping. Are you shopping? You don't seem to be purchasing anything.
All right, sir. I'm on the phone with 911. The film. Are you taking a report? The police are on the way. I'm asking you if you're asking him to leave.
Do you have it on film?
All on film. I'm waiting for to get this guy's information so the state police can
State police?
Well, I'm going to make sure that this stuff gets covered and not covered over.
Let's take a quick look at the differences between the liberal left and the conservative right. determine where you stand in the political scale, answer a number of questions on your social, economic views like abortion, gay marriage, gun control, taxes, and more. Take the quiz and find out where you stand. But not to get confused with the government scale that determines the amount of government power and where each political party lies on that spectrum. On the right, 0% government power like anarchy, to 100% government power on the left like communism, fascism, socialism, and Nazism. Our U.S. Constitution started as a republic, and as our government keeps growing larger, the Constitution slides higher up the scale.
Finally, this is basically how we got here. The left and right paradigm has been used for hundreds of years and has been revitalized in the New Age. The Constitution was created to give us an equalized society, which was lost a long time ago. But it's not too late for us to reunify as a whole nation. But that requires sacrifice. You must find within yourself of how you can help us merge together and rally to eliminate the plague of government corruption. Because that seems to be the only one thing we can all agree on. Oh yeah, there's one more thing.